I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Piggy. I'm going to fire you. Piggy, you are fired. You are fired. Piggy, you are fired. Fired.
Welcome to the MarcWes Sports Podcast.
Yeah, so we good. Back on deck again.
Looks like we live, MarcWes Sports Podcast. I'm Marcus Benjamin, chilling with my guy, Wesley Pierre, giving you real sports talk from the crib. And one of the stories that's been kind of hanging over my head, besides that whole poor Monty McClain story, I don't know if we even spoke about that, about him going to Colorado.
Yeah, we kind of touched on that.
Yeah,
I don't really even want to talk about his ass no more. He's not
right.
a king. There's no point of even much mention his name.
Yeah, that's basically it, because I'm just glad that story is over, and I'm glad that this Josh Gattis firing story is over as well, because it's been hanging over my head for basically the past couple of months. This is something that we, basically kind of knew about. We're just kind of being hush about, because that's, basically what we're supposed to do until official word basically comes out, or we're kind of, allowed to kind of break certain stories. But Josh Gattis finally fired, offensive coordinator. Now we're on the search for a new OC. And for me, it's got to be a splash hire. It can't be like some, OC that nobody knows, or preferably it's got to be like a former head coach or somebody that was in the NFL. Something like that has to pop off. You can check CanesCounty.com for a list of candidates that, I put together. There's a couple of other names that weren't on there that I wasn't sure should be on there, that have kind of come up as some names, and that's T. Martin, the former Tennessee quarterback, and he also did some coaching at Memphis, and also Dan Mullen, who was the former head coach at Mississippi State, former head coach at Florida. He's been in broadcast. He's working for ESPN right now. So other names to just kind of, keep in mind are Joe Brady. Joe Brady is the guy who helped LSU win a championship with Joe Burrow and them. And he is the quarterback's coach right now for Buffalo. He's interviewing for jobs for the Jets and Chargers, kind of a long shot. But the name that people get most excited about, and I know you'll get excited about this one too, Wes, is Ken Dorsey, bro. Ken Dorsey, former quarterback at Miami, quarterback the best team in college football in 2001, probably one of the best teams in 2000 as well, but we got robbed because, that's what they do to us. He is the OC for the Buffalo Bills. They exited the playoffs. There's a lot of talk about him, letting him go based on their performance in the playoffs against the Cincinnati Bengals. But yeah, just with all that, Wes, what are your thoughts on the next OC? Who you want? Gattis been fired. How you feeling?
First, I'm feeling excited. You see the shirt. It's like we both was in each other's window. We spoke with each other before jumping on the show. We both are wearing the University of Miami logo. And this is the reason why I'm wearing it. Josh Gattis is gone. He's fired.
What are you going to do? I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Piggy. I'm going to fire you. Piggy, you are fired. You are fired. Piggy, you are fired. Fired.
Found out early this morning. As soon as I heard it, I posted it on our Instagram page. But I felt so good because I'm like, damn, this shit just been lingering and kind of effing up our chances of landing, transfers, because they don't know who's going to be the offensive coordinator. In regards to him, he's not showing up to see these players and that's showing up, and you're not part of the process. And everybody know that Mario Cristobal, he's A1 first quarter when it comes to recruiting. That's what he do. He don't sleep, and everybody around him, they're kind of in the same mode. They're not as as on point like Mario Cristobal, but just being on the staff with somebody like him on the helm, at the helm, it feels good. But to see Josh Gattis not be around, and to see us last year, like the worst numbers, especially what FSU getting our ass whooped, all of us was mad because it just was like, the game was over in like the first quarter, and that's all behind our offensive coordinator. You won this award. And it seemed like that you got that award from favoritism. It's not because of the work that you've done, and I was kind of questioning why they let you go last year to even join the University of Miami. It felt like it was a steal, but it looked like we just got somebody's trash. And now we're getting rid of that trash again. So that is a good thing. As far as the people that I want to be offensive coordinator, of course, you spoke of Coley before. Of course, I heard of Ken Dorsey, and I also heard of Brian Hartline, possibly last year, almost coming to the University of Miami. And I think, I don't know if it's far-fetched now. I think he got a promotion now. But still, just the plain fact that that he's going for these big names. Again, last year we were all kind of bewildered, like, what's going on? It's taking so long for Mario Cristobal, not Mario Cristobal, but the University of Miami to go ahead and hire a coach, and then we got Mario Cristobal. We got all these individuals, being the top tier staff. What we were saying is like an all-star team in regards to the coaching staff. For him to for the University of Miami to take their time in that regard, and then we wind up being successful for who we wind up landing in Mario Cristobal. I don't see no problem with taking your time with these names that you just alluded to and I alluded to, because it's time for a splash. We can't, like you said, you can't grab somebody that nobody knows. It got to be one of these names like, oh, my God, yeah, really? Oh, you got him? Oh, no. Now you know what we're working with. Now, me personally, I thought that they were trying to have Josh Gattis find another job. I heard like Iowa. I heard other places. I heard he was interviewing for the NFL. But, again, after a season that you just showed, nobody really want to hire somebody like that. And I think not Mario Cristobal, but the University of Miami in whole just didn't want to pay that tab to, wind up paying him. We already had to pay $500,000 last year to get him out of his contract. Now I don't know how much he's getting paid here or was getting paid here, but for them to be taking their time, and I'm not worried about it. Of course, it may had some negative effects, because of course you had the guy go to FSU. I think Hakeem something or whatever like that, wide receiver. He went
Williams.
Exactly. He went to FSU, and I think that you was one of the reasons, Gattis. So again, in regards to anybody that Mario Cristobal gets, I think would put a better performance on the field than Josh Gattis. And if it's one of those three names that we just spoke on, like, come on, it's a win for me, because again, after having one of our worst seasons, and I hated a lot of our former coaches, a lot of our former coaching staffs, and I forgot the guy with the tie, Al Golden and other head coaches, but at least we were scoring. It just was like we took a step back. It kind of last year made me remember what happened before we had Lashley. So just the plain fact that we could go ahead and get anybody like Ken Dorsey, we could talk to him now. They're out of the playoffs. Happy that they got their ass kicked out of the playoffs. But yeah, I want something refreshing. You know what I'm saying? Something that's gonna make me feel good about myself. So
yeah, absolutely. Just for clarity, Hakeem Williams, I don't think they really wanted him. To be honest, just because for me, I think he was maybe not the player that they were kind of going for. But now looking back at it, they could have used a guy like that. Just as a body is concerned. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Miami definitely needs a splash hire because it's Miami, man. Miami needs someone to really kind of get excited about, just like you said. And there's a lot of names, like I said, that can get you excited. A name to keep in mind, Wes, is Marcus Arroyo. This was his OC when he was at Oregon. So when Oregon went to the Rose Bowl and Justin Herbert, he was the OC for them, and he just got fired by UNLV as a head coach. He was the head coach at UNLV and just got fired, so he's available. So that is a name to kind of consider as well. And I wouldn't be too mad at that. Because it's a guy that Cristobal is familiar with. I mean, that seems like those are the type of guys that he likes, guys that he's worked with. He worked with Gattis. He was at Alabama. So that's why he kind of brought him in. He kind of knew him from when he was working with Gattis at Alabama. So I wouldn't be surprised if he also decided to bring him back. James Coley seems like should be the right guy because he went to Miami High. He coached at Norland. He coached for Al Golden, like you said, when we were actually scoring points. And I don't think there's a lot of – he's currently at Texas A&M, but I don't think there's a lot of there's just not a lot of benefits at Texas A&M. Texas A&M had a bad season just like we did. So why not come back home to a place where you grew up at, So yeah, James Coley definitely a name to kind of watch. You spoke about Brian Hartline. Everybody's like, yeah, I mean, how's that even possible? It's possible because money is possible. Once you offer somebody a certain amount of money and be like, hey, we'll offer you this, then, hey, anything can happen, because I think that was kind of could be like the whole issue with Hartline. If they were able to get Hartline, man, they'll be able to get Jeremiah Smith. And you're going to hear me talk about Jeremiah Smith for the next year because he is absolutely the best receiver in the nation. He's a great kid. Love talking to him. He respects me because I was one of the first guys to kind of bring him out after he won a state championship with Chaminade. This kid is he's just outstanding. And he saw him last. I was at a huge 7-on-7 tournament last weekend called Battle Miami. And his team didn't do so well because I'm not going to say why they didn't do so well, but they didn't live up to expectations. But it wasn't because of Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith, call him JJ, he is definitely one of the best wide receivers. The combination of size and speed is just uncanny. I think he's around 6'3", I believe. Hovering around 200, but could run like a 4.4, maybe even a 4.3. Who knows how fast he is now? He just runs great routes. Can just high point the ball. He loves Brian Hartline, and he's committed to Ohio State. He is basically going to follow Brian Hartline wherever he goes because these boys are going to go to the NFL. And what team has put more players in the NFL from college in these past few years? It's been Ohio State. We see Olave and Jigba and Garrett Wilson. Like, these are recent guys that are made it to the NFL, and they love this guy. And Brian Hartline obviously has ties to South Florida, drafted by the Miami Dolphins, still has a house in Plantation, I hear. So he would like he is entertaining the idea of coming back home, so to speak. So it's all about those dollars, though, man. You got to offer something to him to entice him to kind of come down here. But we'll see how that all plays out. It's going to be an interesting couple of weeks. to see who this OC is going to be. My preference, to be honest, I think would be Ken Dorsey, man. Like that would be my preference, just because he's a quarterback. And the other thing too is that stop with the whole nonsense of having a quarterback's coach. Quarterback's coach and the OC should be the same guy.
Same thing.
That should be the same guy. If you are operating the offense, that means you're basically one step above the quarterback. Why do you need a quarterback's coach? And I think that was part of the problem with Miami. I think Frank Ponce and Josh Gattis didn't. I think they bumped heads, and
Yeah, they did.
And they weren't working well together, and that usually doesn't work with college football teams. You just need one OC that is basically your quarterback's coach, and then you have a separate wide receivers coach, who just works with the wide receivers and who recruits the wide receivers. So I think that was the issue. So we're not only looking for an OC, but we're also looking for a wide receivers coach. So we'll see what happens in these upcoming days. It should be fun though, to see exactly what happens.
Yeah, definitely. And that wide receiver that you said will follow Brian Hartline anywhere. I hear that his teammate possibly can go to the University of Miami. So if you can kind of like steer him in our direction, that would be great. I would love it. It won't be no insider anything, especially at this time right now. I don't think that people could communicate too much with players until like the February 1st signing day or something like that. But who do you think possibly we have left to possibly have a chance at signing February 1st?
Yeah.
Because like especially with this Josh Gattis firing, I don't know if it's going to be a benefit or a negative. I mean, yeah, he hasn't been around to actually pick and choose certain players that's entering the transfer portal or anything like that, or possibly 2024 wide receivers. I don't know if it's going to be a benefit. I think it's a benefit because it's Josh Gattis, but it could be a negative as well because it's so close to the signing day. I don't know, but they probably was already planning for this. I don't think that Mario Cristobal gonna drag his feet, knowing that everyone, all the Canes are talking about, and I don't think money was gonna be the thing that stops him from getting rid of what he wants Miami to be. So what do you think? Who do you think we have left possibly having a chance to sign, and do you think the Josh Gattis firing possibly could have a negative or a positive effect on Miami?
I think now that he's finally fired, that it's only up from here. But I think maybe you wasted some time within this past month where you could have been recruiting some transfers. The transfer portal has closed. Like you can't, basically add on any other transfers at this point until I believe until like May. So yeah, we were hoping to get at least one transfer wide receiver and did not get that. So I think that kind of hurt. But from this point forward, I think until you get an OC, it's still hurting because you don't have an OC. You know what I'm saying? You don't have a wide receivers coach. So you may miss out on potentially recruiting some players. But they're pretty much done with the 2023 class, except for maybe two players. One, Jamel Howard, who is a defensive tackle, 3-star out of Chicago. He's actually visiting this weekend. From what I hear, Miami has a good chance of getting this guy signed for signing day next Wednesday. So look out for him.
How does he look? His size?
His size? Actually, don't know exactly what size. I can look it up. But while I do that, I am going to talk about another player who I'm really excited about. But I don't want to get people too excited about us landing.
Get me excited.
But he is so the defensive tackle is 6'3", 320.
Ooh, yeah, that's the frame I need. But yes.
So 6'3", 320, 3-star guy. Wisconsin, I think, is like kind of the team to kind of watch here because they kind of developed a relationship more so with him, closer to home. He's from Chicago, like I said. But it's cold up there. You want to come down here at the crib, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully Miami really, does the job and shows him a good time this weekend, and we get another guy on the defensive tackle position, which we need. Another player, like I said, the player that I want to get you excited about is Nicholas Harbor, man. 6'5", 225, and is a track star, like a runner, track star, like Olympic track speed, bro. Like he's fast. I want to say he runs like I had it. So let me just go back to the stories that I wrote. But he is like
DK Metcalf?
Yeah, he's of that type. He's of that type. Receiver or tight end. Wants to play receiver, but this dude is just super fast. I mean, he is like definitely wants to track and play football. And he also wants to study medicine and be an orthopedic surgeon. So and you already know Miami's got one of the best medical schools when it comes to Power 5 football programs. So it's really kind of every track as well. So it's really everything that he needs. But the thing is that Miami's late in the game. And the thing about recruiting, once you start early in the game, you have that inside track. These kids think like, okay, well, this school has been down for me since day one. I'm going to go with them type of thing. So that is what Miami has playing against them with Oregon, South Carolina, and Maryland, where he's from. He's from D.C., so Maryland is in play because, he may want to stay home. But he is going to be visiting Oregon this weekend. I think Oregon is really the team to try to get out here because they also have an outstanding track program. I'm not sure how good they are as far as medicine is concerned. And then he wants to go to a proven winner, which Oregon has been that for the past few years as well. But Mario Cristobal did go in for an visit this week, so hopefully they gave him a lot to think about. And from what I heard as well is that his people met, or his agent also met with Mark, the Hurricanes peoples or whatnot. So there is talks about Nicholas Harbor. The other thing that put Miami behind the 8 ball too is that they started recruiting him as a defensive end. He played defensive end at his school. He played defensive end and he played receiver. But he wants to play receiver. He wants to score touchdowns. He wants to be on the offensive side of the ball. So at first they were setting up Jason Taylor to recruit him because they thought he was going to be a defensive end, which he would be an outstanding defensive end. I think it's more of a project if he's trying to be a receiver, and he's kind of the raw straight line speed type of guy. He's not very shifty either. He's more just like, once I get the ball, I'm gone type of thing. And you got to have some wiggle, some shift to you if you're going to be a wide receiver. So, we'll see what happens there. But those are the only two guys that we're really looking at. Jamal Howard, the D tackle, and then Nicholas Harbor. And, if I bet on anything, I would say we get Jamal Howard, but I'd say we probably don't get Nicholas Harbor. But we'll see, because these things change so fast, and especially nowadays with NIL in play, these things change and these kids change their minds. So we'll see what happens next Wednesday.
Yeah, they definitely changing their minds. We just were scolded not too long ago by somebody. So I do understand how kids can change their minds when they're saying they're gonna be here and they're not here. So it's all good. But yeah, man, from what you're saying, like, I think Oregon's the big problem because you seen like Nike sponsors them. You seen that track that they got? I seen it a few years back when they had remodeled it or gave it an upgrade. So I don't know what Miami's doing with their track and field down here. Of course, we normally have these individuals that do play two sports known in Miami for the longest. It hasn't been like that in the recent years, but I mean, you could go to the Santana Moss days and certain stuff like that. These guys used to play track all the time and then jump right on the field and mutt people, just kind of like Dion. I'm gonna play football and I'm gonna go ahead and play baseball same day. So that's kind of one of the things that I want them to bring back to college sports. Like especially football, like play multiple sports, play multiple positions. And whatever lands you that money, because Marcus, I'm like you right now, give him the bag, however you can get the bag, go ahead and get it. So hey, if he's like what you're saying, like DK Metcalf, as far as how he's built, and you got track speed, probably Olympic track speed, the way you speaking, it's a 50-50 between Miami and Oregon with me. Hopefully it's Miami, because we do need that big physical receiver. We don't have that. We only got Kobe Young right now. And as far as being the, that dominant receiver as far as with the physicality, but everybody else that we got coming in seems nice. Back to that individual from Chaminade. Please talk to your homeboy, shift them in our direction. I love that. But,
the other receiver you was talking about was Josiah Trader, and he's not as good as at Jeremiah Smith, but he is also outstanding player as well. I like him a lot. I think Miami has a chance to land him as well. He actually left Miami Central to play with Jeremiah Smith. So they are boys, they are good friends. And he left, and leaving Miami Central is usually not taken very well. You know what I'm saying? When you don't leave a Miami Central, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Chaminade is a great program too. I mean, it's one of the top 5 programs in South Florida, but no player really does that. And so he really wanted to play with JJ, and they obviously won a state championship last year, as well as Central. But that's how tight they, so it could be a two package deal. I mean, it could, wherever one goes, the other one may go. I mean, from what I hear, AJ's trying to get him to go to Ohio State, and I think JoJo is leaning toward Miami at this point of his process. And if he ends up committing, he may want to try to convince him to Miami. So that's going to be an interesting story all year, to kind of see what goes on there between those two. But we'll see how it all goes down.
Yeah, definitely. But yes, same sport, kind of the same team, but not. I want to go ahead and re-talk about the Ed Reed situation.